Imagine it's Friday. After a long week at work, your phone buzzes and a notification appears on the screen. Direct deposit received. You open your banking app, see that your balance has gone up, and smile without even realizing it. For a few brief seconds, everything seems a little more manageable. The rent can be paid. The credit card bill no longer feels quite as intimidating. You can order a better dinner, or finally buy the item that has been sitting in your cart for days. You tell yourself that you've worked hard and deserve to enjoy a little of what you've earned. But then the rent comes out of your account. Car insurance, internet, gas, groceries, student loan payments, and dozens of smaller expenses follow one after another. None of them seems dangerous on its own, but by the end of the month, you open your banking app and ask yourself, where did all my money go? Claire used to ask herself the same question. She had a stable job, received regular raises, and lived in a comfortable apartment in Columbus, Ohio. From the outside, she seemed to be doing everything right. But one morning, Claire's car broke down on the side of the road. The repair shop told her it would cost nearly $1,000 to fix. Claire opened her banking app, looked at her balance, and slowly pulled a credit card from her wallet. She didn't feel poor. She just felt that something didn't add up. How could someone with a steady job, a rising income, and no extravagant purchases be thrown off balance by an ordinary expense? Claire thought the problem was that she simply wasn't earning enough. But that night, when she reviewed her last 3 months of bank transactions, she discovered something far more troubling. It didn't just explain where her money had been going. It also revealed what her future would look like if nothing changed. If you've ever received a raise and still found yourself with almost nothing left at the end of the month, stay until the end of this story. Claire wasn't an irresponsible spender. She was simply living by a financial rule that most of us don't even realize we're following. Claire graduated from college at 22 with about $27,000 in student loan debt and started her first office job earning nearly $48,000 a year. She hadn't grown up in a wealthy family, and there was nothing particularly unusual about her story. Claire was simply an ordinary young woman with a used car, a steady job, and the belief that life would become easier as her income increased. When she received her first paycheck, she took a few friends out to dinner, replaced the phone she had been using with a cracked screen, and put down a deposit on a studio apartment close to work that rented for about $1,250 a month. Claire didn't think she was overspending. She felt as though she was finally enjoying a reward she had earned after years of studying and working hard. And in her position, you probably would have done the same. The problem wasn't the dinner, the phone, or the apartment. The problem was the quiet belief forming beneath those decisions. As long as she earned more money, everything would eventually work itself out. 3 years later, Claire got a raise. The studio became a more spacious one-bedroom apartment. Her first car, which had started giving her trouble regularly, was replaced with a newer, more dependable used car that came with a $465 monthly payment. Weekend dinners became more frequent. Short trips, new clothes, home decorations, and online subscriptions gradually found their way into her life. There was no single major decision that made Claire feel as though she was losing control. Everything simply increased a little at a time. $50 no longer felt significant. A $100 purchase could be divided into 4 payments. A monthly payment that was a few $100s higher didn't seem alarming because her salary had just gone up too. Claire wasn't spending like a millionaire. She was simply spending like someone who believed another paycheck would always arrive next month. With every increase in income, her life became more comfortable, but also more expensive. The amount left in her account at the end of each month barely changed. Then the car broke down. One morning on her way to work, the check engine light came on. The car began shaking and then stalled on the side of the road. The repair shop told her that the alternator, battery, and several worn components needed to be replaced. The total bill came to nearly $1,000. Claire could still pay with a credit card, but if she failed to pay off the balance, that debt would begin accruing interest at more than 20%. Sitting in the repair shop's waiting room with the card in her hand, Claire realized that her financial stability was far more fragile than she had believed. The nice apartment, good phone, and newer car made her life look successful from the outside. But one ordinary bill was enough to shake the entire financial system underneath it. That night, Claire opened her transaction history from the previous 3 months. At first, she was convinced that she hadn't been spending very much. But as she added everything up, a different picture began to emerge. The coffee she bought out of habit before work, the takeout she ordered on nights when she was too tired to cook, delivery fees, discounted items she had never used, weekend trips, subscriptions costing only $10 or $20 a month that she had forgotten to cancel. Each expense seemed harmless on its own, but together they were costing her thousands of dollars every year. Still, the coffee wasn't what worried Claire most. She looked back at her 3 most recent raises and realized that every time her income went up, her cost of living increased almost immediately. Every new dollar she earned was quickly assigned to a new payment. A better apartment, a newer car, more expensive vacations. Conveniences that had once felt like luxuries gradually became normal necessities. Claire wasn't truly becoming wealthier, she was simply making her life more expensive to maintain. That night, Claire changed one simple question. Before, whenever she wanted to buy something, she asked, "Can I afford the payment?" Now she asked, "Is this worth giving up one of my future choices?" Claire didn't completely transform overnight. Some months, she followed her plan. Other months, a trip, a medical bill, or an exhausting week at work caused her to spend more than she had intended. But instead of waiting to become perfect, Claire built a system simple enough to maintain. Immediately after every payday, $250 was automatically transferred into her savings account. Another amount went into a long-term investment account. She didn't try to predict the market, search for a stock that would increase tenfold, or chase promises of getting rich quickly. Claire simply turned saving and investing into regular obligations, just like rent or the electric bill. She canceled subscriptions she no longer used, ordered takeout less often, and continued driving the car after it was repaired instead of rushing to upgrade it. But Claire didn't eliminate every source of enjoyment from her life. She still spent time with friends, traveled when she had planned for it, and bought things that genuinely mattered to her. The goal wasn't to make herself miserable today while waiting for some perfect future. The goal was to stop allowing impulsive decisions to determine her entire future. By the time Claire turned 30, she had built an emergency fund large enough to cover 6 months of living expenses. That money didn't make her apartment look nicer or her car appear more expensive. No one at work knew how much she had saved. But the true value of that emergency fund revealed itself one Monday afternoon when her company announced a restructuring and a round of layoffs. Some of her coworkers panicked because they had only enough money to survive for a few weeks. Some began applying for every job they could find. Claire was worried too. She didn't know whether her name would appear on the list, but she knew she had time. If she lost her job, Claire could search for the right opportunity instead of accepting the first position available simply to keep the bills paid. That was when she understood that an emergency fund wasn't just money sitting in an account. It was the distance between an unexpected event and a decision made in panic. Claire thought she had completely changed. But a few years later, the largest raise of her career would test whether that lesson had truly stayed with her.
And conformed.
At 33, Claire received a promotion. Just a few days later, she walked into a car dealership to look at a new model. Her current car was still running well, but the salesperson told her that with her new salary, she could easily afford the upgrade. The seats were softer. The interior was more modern. The screen was larger. The monthly payment would only be a few $100s more. Sitting behind the wheel, Claire felt as though she were looking at a more successful version of herself. The salesperson placed the contract in front of her and pointed to the monthly payment. Claire picked up the pen. She almost signed. But then she looked through the showroom window and saw her current car parked outside. It wasn't new. It wasn't impressive. But it was fully paid off, and it still took her everywhere she needed to go. Claire looked back at the empty signature line and realized that she was repeating the same old question. Can I afford the payment? She had never asked whether the car would improve her life enough to justify years of payments. Claire put down the pen and drove away from the dealership in her old car. No one saw that decision as an achievement, but it was the first time a higher salary had not immediately become a higher standard of living. From that point forward, whenever her income increased, Claire raised her investment contributions before increasing her spending. By 35, she was still living modestly, driving a dependable car, and spending money on the things that genuinely mattered to her. The gap between her income and her expenses continued to grow. At first, that gap became an emergency fund. Then it became an investment account. Over time, it became freedom of choice. By the time Claire turned 40, what surprised her most wasn't the amount of money she had accumulated. It was how much lighter her life felt. She no longer replaced her car simply because a coworker had bought a newer one. She didn't move into a larger house just because a bank said she qualified for a bigger mortgage. She no longer bought things to prove that she was successful. Claire understood that being able to buy something and deciding that it was worth buying were two entirely different questions. No one applauded when she walked out of the dealership without signing the contract. No one congratulated her for transferring money into an investment account. But those invisible choices created a life in which she was no longer completely dependent on her next paycheck. There is a strange paradox about wealth. The things that make someone look wealthy are often evidence that their money has already been spent, while real wealth usually exists in the things no one can see. It is the car Claire didn't buy, the house she didn't upgrade, the raise she didn't immediately turn into another financial obligation, and the money that remained in her accounts to protect her future choices. Claire once believed her life would change when she finally earned enough money. But it only began to change when she stopped using every raise to build a more expensive life. That doesn't mean a low income isn't a very real problem. For many people, rent, healthcare, groceries, and childcare can consume nearly everything they earn. But when your income begins to rise, what you do with the difference determines whether you are building wealth or simply upgrading your obligations. Financial freedom rarely comes from one perfect decision. It is built through reasonable behaviors repeated long enough, during ordinary days when no one is watching. In the end, wealth isn't just about having more money. It is about not needing every dollar you earn to maintain your life, having enough time to think, and having the freedom to choose before circumstances make the decision for you. So the most important question isn't how much money you earned this month. The question is, every time your income increases, are you using it to buy more things other people can see, or to build a future only you will be able to feel?